Pierce, the 14th president.
Franklin Pierce, 14th President of the United States. Franklin Pierce was one of two presidents considered to be responsible for the coming of the Civil War. The Democratic Party nominated Franklin Pierce in 1852 as its standard-bearer, believing that he would garner wide national appeal and support, and that he did, in a most spectacular way, winning that election in a landslide. Upon assuming office in March of 1853, Franklin Pierce would become this country's youngest chief executive up to that point in time. Now, Franklin Pierce's wide national appeal and support would gradually melt away over the course of his presidency, due in large measure to his support of the Kansas-Nebraska Act, which he signed in May of 1854. Now, the Kansas-Nebraska Act opened up the possibility of slavery in territories where it then did not exist, and really was not supposed to exist based on previous law, on precedent. And the fact that Franklin Pierce would sign this legislation and open up those territories to the possibility of slavery, that did not find favor in the North, and neither did he find favor in the South for the sake of having signed the Kansas-Nebraska legislation, because Southerners wanted to see him take a more solid pro-slavery stance, which he did not do. So I suppose that's to some degree to his credit. So Franklin Pierce signs legislation that opens up the possibility of slavery in territories where it then did not exist and was supposed not to be able to exist, not to be allowed to exist based on past precedent. As well, a civil war would break out in the Kansas Territory between pro-slavery and anti-slavery people, and that civil war would rage into the late 1850s and would serve as a bloody preview of things to come on a national scale. The fact that Franklin Pierce did little, if anything, about the violence out in Kansas during his term of office, that has not been something that has found favor in particular with historians. When it comes to the Gadsden Purchase was really an expansion. It was an agreement with Mexico to open up, to essentially add territory to the United States, and specifically to the New Mexico and Arizona territories, to make way for a Southern Trans-Pacific Railroad route. So that found favor with Southerners. Northerners didn't like it because they were working on their own route to the West Coast, their own Northern Transcontinental Railroad, if you will. And finally, when it came to the question of Cuba, there were many people in the South who wanted to see Cuba become part of the United States. Of course, it could become a slave state in the future or carved up into two or more slave states, which would further empower the South. All these issues go a long way toward explaining why Franklin Pierce is one of our least popular presidents.